What's up guys, CoreNerd here. Today we're going to be taking a look at Windows 8. And really, we're going to take a look at a lot of the features with Windows 8 and obviously the changes that have happened to the whole entire thing and how to use Windows 8, really. And that's what this video is going to focus on, is how to get into Windows 8 and start running your programs and doing what you like to do. We're going to customize programs, we're going to put them in places where we want them, and we're going to explain how this operating system really changed from Windows XP to Windows 7 and to Windows 8. Vista's not in that category because I don't like Vista. But anyways, so with Windows 8, a lot has changed, obviously. We are first presented with this screen, and we're wondering, what the hell is this? Well, this is really a optimized section for touch experience, so it really feels like I should go ahead and use my index finger and start touching, although in this case I can't because it's not a touchscreen, which kind of sucks. But anyways, you can also use your mouse to click on it, so you don't have to worry, and it makes it, in my opinion, a little bit easier to get to your programs for people who don't know how to. But let's pretend this is an iPad, or let's pretend this is really a tablet-like computer. So we get all our applications on a tablet from the App Store on an iPad, or the Play Store on an Android tablet. In Windows case, we're going to go to the Windows Store. Obviously, it's just where you get your apps. So in order to search for an app, you really have to move your cursor over to the right side, and here's a search button. So again, move your cursor over to the right, and that's with any application that's open. You can go ahead and do that. And we move our cursor over to the right, click on search, and now we can search within the store. Now I want to point out something before we continue searching within the store. You can search within other applications too. So if I click on Bing, I can search within Bing. If I click on Store, I will search within Store. If I click on Kindle, I can search within Kindle. Same with Netflix, which I think is kind of cool. So that's a very nice feature they've used as a search optimization for this. So you can search your heart out if you're into that. So I'm going to search for something relatively simple that I think would be on the App Store, and we're going to search for Minesweeper, because that's the classic game. Really? That's annoying. Well, Minesweeper in this case is going to cost $1.49. My Minesweeper, which I think is free. Yes, so we're going to go with this one, and we're going to hit the install button. So again, I just installed it, and because I clicked on that little notification, it launched the program, which I think is kind of cool. So again, we have the classic Minesweeper game, which we can click anywhere. 2, 2, 1, 1. And yeah, I'm not good at playing Minesweeper. I know how it works. I just am doing this for demonstration purposes. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. I'm going to take my risk. 1, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I wish I could win this game, we'll put it that way. I think that's a bad one to choose. 1, 2, 3. Ah, I was so close. But as you can see, it brings you right into the app, which is cool. Now, let's say we want to get back to the whole start menu I was showing you guys before. So basically, you want to hit the. You have a couple of options. You can move your cursor over to the left, and that'll get you back to the start screen. Or you can simply press the Windows key, and that'll quickly get you back to where you want to go. And again, think of it really as a tablet. Like this, the Windows key is the home button on Windows, and the home button is the home button on the iPad. Pretty much, you have the same concept. So now to continue on this look at Windows 8. It's very cool how they organize the structure of this because everything's in quote-unquote tiles. So again, you can access the app that we just installed, Minesweeper, in that tile, and just click on it and it'll appear in full screen. And again, to get back, we can click the left edge of the screen. Now, let's say we upgraded from Windows 7 Professional. let's go to the desktop like we normally would. So here's my playlist from Pandora. We notice several things are different. Obviously, there's no start menu anymore. It's just the screen, again, that I showed you on the left side. So we're wondering, where the heck is our applications? Well, if you guys do remember, when I set this up, I showed you the search. Well, to get the search, I can easily move to this corner of the screen and click on search, or I can start typing my program that I'm looking for. So let's say I'm looking for Steam. I just selected that. Let's say I'm looking for Chrome. Again, it works the same way. And I'm trying to think of a good one that would be Portal. So let's say I want to have Portal back on this home screen, because again, with Windows 8, everything you buy in the Windows Store will appear on this home screen, but your other applications won't necessarily appear on the home screen. So you search for your application, so I'll search for Portal, and then you right-click on what you've searched for. Instead of left-click to open it, you right-click, and it says Pin to Start. So you left-click on Pin to Start. Again, let's go back to our Start menu, and now we have Portal here. So I'm going to go ahead and drag Portal where my other games are, and it'll launch the game. I'm not going to launch it in this case, but I'll show you the other Windows app that I have on here that's not a part of Metro. Here's Calculator, and that's how you get to it. It's an interesting way to organize your apps. Now, let's say you want to name each section of the tiles that I was telling you about. You can press the Control key and use your scrolling or middle mouse button and right-click on each section to name it. So in this case, I'm going to name this group. I'm going to call it Games. And in this group, I'm going to call it Microsoft Office 2013. And in this group, I'm going to call it Miscellaneous. In this group, I'm going to call Common. This group, I'll call it Internet. So again, and to get back into full screen mode where you don't just see these, you can click, or you can just use the Control key again and scroll upwards. So, as you can see, the Common, Internet, Games, Microsoft Office 2013, and Miscellaneous, which will put the games where they belong. Miscellaneous here. So, yeah, like I said, we now have our games. We have Portal. We have all those games organized. You have Web, which Internet. I'm going to put Google Chrome and Internet Explorer in. And as we begin to add more items relating to the Internet, let's even put SkyDrive in there. I believe it'll start making it easier. Let's also make this tile smaller. Again, to make anything smaller or to adjust any of the icons or tiles here, you can just right-click on them and you say it's smaller. One thing that's really cool about Windows 8 is the live tiles, which will give you live updates depending on the app developer about the news. But sometimes it can get big, and sometimes it can consume your system, so you can right-click and say turn live tile off, and that'll just get you into the travel section. So let's go ahead and drag more internet-related tools out, and we'll see what happens as I tend to make more and more. So it seems to make automatic. It brings everything automatically to the right end, so it will organize your photos and everything pretty well. I'm going to make this smaller. So Common, Internet, Microsoft Office 2013, Miscellaneous, obviously is going to be this stuff. And you can play with this on your own. I mean, this is just for demonstration purposes, but as you can see, you get the point. You can launch either of your apps within the Start menu. Now let's say you're into desktop mode, and you actually have a desktop, and you really can't deal with the Windows 8 way, which happens to have everything placed on a Start menu. Well, There are a couple of options here, and Microsoft has included one that's, I think, is cool for system administrators. That would be, you can right-click where it says Start, and you're given sort of your classic options here, which, in my opinion, is necessary if you're joining a computer to a Windows domain controller or a domain, or if you're looking at uninstalling programs really quickly, getting to the control panel without going into the settings. You can just right-click here, and you're given your control panel. If you just left-click here, your classic control panel, your command prompt, your disk management. So all the administrative tasks that you wanted to do are not gone, they're just hidden. And you can also do computer management, which will get you to Device Manager, System, if I want to join to a Windows domain, if I go into Computer. Now, if this stuff is not making sense to any of you guys right now, and you're just wondering how to use Windows 8 basically, then ignore what I'm saying, but this is to appeal to people who like to get deep inside the computer. And as you can see, I still have folders on my desktop. I can still get my other applications to install if I use the internet. For example, let's go ahead and get the game Armageddon. Although I think I already have it here. Let's do something different. Let's go to giveawayoftheday.com to see if I find a Windows software. See. I'm not liking that. Let's think. What else will I install? I already got Firefox. Well, let's do anything here. Let's do Everest Home Edition. So it's just a regular Windows program you can get on the internet. And again, you can just download it the way you normally would. View my downloads. Here we go. Let it download. And it'll work the way it normally does. And you can go ahead and install it. Or in my case, you can actually go ahead and extract it to the desktop. So I'm going to actually make a new one, new folder. We're going to call it Everest. And it doesn't change that much, so I can go ahead and drag in Everest. And we can go ahead and launch Everest. So there you go. I mean, it hasn't changed too much, but you do have to be aware of Metro, and you might want to utilize it to organize yourself as far as your programs that you open. And again, speaking of programs that you open, remember, if I go to the left side here and start scrolling down, I can see the programs that are already open in Metro mode. And to simply get rid of them, I could go ahead and, again, right-click, close, right-click, close, right-click, close. One thing I wish Windows 8 did have the feature to do. Now, you can also drag it down and it'll get rid of it, but I just wish that as I went right here and I dragged it over here, it would close, but in this case it didn't. And the only way to close is to drag it down like that. Let's go back to the desktop here. Let's close this. Close this. And yeah, again, this is all the programs that I have open right here in Metro mode. So you have seen the basics on how to use this. To get back to what we were talking about on how to use this, again, you can go to the App Store and simply move your cursor to the right here and search what you're looking for. One thing I wish they had was, what was it called? Splashtop, which is a remote desktop viewer, which I guess they have. So let's go ahead and install this. Again, it's very simple to install these programs, and if we're looking at the status of these, we can just click up here and it'll give us our status of the updated programs. And if I click on that, that'll open that in full screen. But let's go back to the start menu, and let's go ahead and drag that to the internet, because that'll allow me to do remote access. So again, it's a very cool program. You can just start downloading programs and installing them. You do need a Microsoft account to basically get the applications, but you'll find a good number of them are free. It's very interesting to go over some of these applications, which we will get to towards the end of this video, but the applications here have ads, some of them. So if you don't like ads, it might be the way to just ignore the application itself and not use it. But some of these have ads, which is very interesting. So it's a different interface, it's a different way to get used to things, but you just have to know how to use it. And again, you can start searching for your app, so I just start by typing the app you're looking for, and it will find it. So if I'm looking for MSI Afterburner, or if I'm looking for Notepad, or if I'm looking for PowerPoint, you can just start typing. And if you're looking for some certain settings to change, like printer, I just hit enter, but we can just go back to the search here, printer. We'll go into the settings. We can add a printer, devices, and all your management will work right from Metro, which is very interesting. We can also search within Netflix if we're looking for, I don't know, Star Trek. We will find Star Trek. If we're looking for Doctor Who, it's integrated and we'll find Doctor Who. So this is really cool, in my opinion. It's a very cool way to search, and it's a very cool way to get things done. And remember, the easiest way to search is either type when you're in the start menu, so type, or again, to move your mouse to the right hand corner and click on search. Let's go back to the desktop. So now you have the basics of how to get started with Windows 8. Again, it does get a little bit more complicated because you can do a lot with it. It's a very advanced operating system. So let's say you have a bunch of devices. Let's say you have a flash drive, a USB drive, a external hard drive, or let's say you have a disk drive if you want to watch a movie. As soon as you insert the disk, it'll ask you what you want it to do. I don't have a disk to show here. Maybe I do, but I can't show copyright content. But let's show this how it works. So I'm going to insert a disk right now into my computer. And now it tells me that I just inserted a DVD. Tap to choose what happens with the DVD movie. So again, this is optimized for touch, so I'm just going to click on it. And now it's going to say, what do I want to play it with? And we could say Windows Media Player, Dropbox, or VLC. So it's very, very straightforward on how to use this. If I click Play Movie using DVD, we're going to go through Windows Media Player. And ignore that. Hit OK. Close. Apparently, with my version, it's not going to play DVDs, which is very sad, but with the version that you guys have, it will play DVDs. I just have a specific version that the codec's not compatible with. But anyways, it will work with your version. So if I insert the disc again, it will be able to play with VLC or a different program. So just with my situation, we can't play DVDs using Media Player. So the next thing I want to show you guys is, to wrap this up, is how to change settings on this computer, how to really go into the deep end of the computer and start messing around, and nothing too complicated really. To change the background of the desktop. We'll start off with that. All you really have to do is the same way you've been doing it in Windows 7 or Windows XP. Well, it's a little different with Windows XP, but you just want to right-click and click on Personalize. Click on your desktop background, and you can change it to anything you want. So if you save something to your, like I like this, for example, we can change it to that. And we'll make sure that it's selected. Pictures library. Click on Save Changes and you're all set. So I think that's a cool Halloween background. And yeah, so that's how you change your wallpaper. So personalize here. And you can choose your desktop wallpaper. And that's pretty much how you do it. Let's also take a look at doing some simple modifications with the Start menu. So to modify anything, we have to go into the settings. So remember, again, you move your mouse to the right corner, click on Settings, and click on Change PC Settings. So let's click on Personalize. So when your computer starts up, you will be presented with a start screen. You can go ahead and choose whatever picture you'd like to be your start screen. I personally like this one, but you can also browse a picture from what you've already done, so something like this would be kind of cool. And that's your start screen. So when your computer starts up, it will show the screen. This is a lock screen, and then the start screen, the lock screen will pretty much start up when your computer starts up, and you can go ahead and lock your computer from there, and it will be a background picture, which is a nice change from Windows 7 because you couldn't change your picture for that. So it's very nice. The start screen, which I think is very interesting, you can't do much changing. You can change the colors that you want, but you cannot change a specific background. You have to use one of theirs. So something like this, you can change, or you can just make it plain. I'm going to go ahead and do what I was at originally. You can modify your users if you want to have more than one user on here as well. And we can switch to a local account, which means that your files won't be synced between computers, but you can use what is called your Microsoft account. And again, it's very similar to the iPad, because with the iPad, in order to purchase programs, you need a username and password, and your username and password will sync up with your iCloud to sync up with everything that you have. So you can get all of your settings, your background within computers. So if you have one Windows desktop computer that's running Windows 8, and you have another Windows tablet computer that's running Windows 8, and you have another laptop that's running Windows 8, and you have another phone that's running Windows Phone 8, all of your settings, all of your wallpapers, everything will get synced between it. So if you're looking to share what you have, your computer, you can have multiple people use different Microsoft accounts as well. Or you can simply, let's go back into the settings here. Or you can just switch to local account, which might be the easiest if you're sharing this computer with a family. So you can have just more than one user, or just hit add user. As far as adding a user, if they have a Microsoft account, they can go ahead and add the user account and it will work fine. So that's a pretty cool feature, is you can have local user accounts, or you can have your Microsoft accounts. So if you have more than one Microsoft account, if your family has a Microsoft account, like one person in your family has a Microsoft account and the other person has a Microsoft account, you can use this together. Now, what's really cool with some of the password options, you can choose what is called a picture password. And I'm going to add and type in my password here. You can choose a picture, so let's say something like my wallpaper, which I find kind of cool. And I can say use this picture, and you can draw 3 gestures that you want to unlock it. So something like this, and something like this. If I knew where to place them, or yeah. So this works very well if you have a tablet computer, so you can just touch anywhere you're looking for, but as far as a desktop computer, it does not do much. You can create a pin. So if I want to enter just a pin number in, I can go ahead and do that. And again, it just makes it easier for a tablet. And think of this again, think of this operating system more like a tablet, like you're using for your iPad. So if you really think of it like an iPad, you won't have too much difficulty using it. Again, notifications are cool. Like within the iPad operating system, you can use notifications to alert you when certain apps have updates, when certain apps have something to tell you. And yeah, it'll show you your calendar too. So if you have notifications within your calendar, it will update you on that. But you can control these. You can actually have it disable notification. You can have it disable sounds if it does notify you, which I'm going to do. You can also modify your app notifications, so you can just turn it off or on. Again, it's very simple. Now let's get into search. You can also control your search environment. So if you don't want to search within Bing, and if you don't want to search within Netflix, you can go ahead and modify that. Or if you don't want to search at all, you can do that as well. Sharing is interesting. And that's if you want specific applications not to be used by other people, like Mail, People, and SkyDrive. You can disable SkyDrive to be shared. So it's kind of cool. Obviously, these are general settings. App switching, spelling, autocorrect misspelled words, which is interesting. And you can choose advanced startup if you want to start up with a device disk, which is kind of cool. It just gets into more stuff that's not, it's okay. Your privacy. So what I think is interesting about this is between Apple and Microsoft is that Microsoft cares about your privacy, and by default, they don't enable your apps to be tracked. But as far as location is, by default, it does turn it on, which is interesting. But this is what's not turned on. Help improve Windows Store by sending URLs from web contents that app use, which is cool. I mean, they do try to focus on some privacy. Your devices, so it will scan your whole entire network, your wireless network, and show specifically what devices you have. So these are all the devices on my network. I can go ahead and remove them if I want. This, which I wouldn't do. You can actually rename them, which I think is very interesting. Actually, you can rename certain devices, like computers. Ease of access, so if you basically have somebody who's needing something like that, you can enable it. So if you're looking for something like high contrast, give it a second. It will change everything darker and make it easier to use, which I'm going to turn off because I can't see it. You can make everything on the screen bigger, so it really makes it easier to use for somebody who has vision impairment. You can enable narrator, which will help people with auditorial disabilities who can't hear. You can adjust your cursor thickness to be a little bit bigger when you are typing. So it'll show as you can see, the different sizes when typing. And this is where you can control your sync. And like I was telling you, you can sync up your applications using sync, and that will sync your settings on your PC, your applications, your passwords, and everything. So everything you do on one PC can be transferred over to the other without thinking about it. And by default, it enables everything. Except when you're roaming, which has something to do with going out of state. Home group's interesting in the fact that you can share your different files that are on your regular PC with other laptops and computers that are in your network. And it gets a little complicated, but you can share documents, music, pictures, videos, printers, and devices, and be able to connect to each one of those. And if you have a TV tuner card on your computer, people can watch movies based off of what you have. Now, Windows Update, you can control that. I have it set to not check for automatic updates, so that's how I chose to do it. And that pretty much concludes the settings as far as Windows Metro is concerned. Obviously, you have the classic settings here, which is the control panel, and you can get it into your user accounts and everything from the classic mode, which is what I tend to stay on. Personally, I just am used to the old ways of Windows, and I will stay on that. But as far as a tablet experience is concerned, this is very cool, and you can get used to it on a desktop. Not going to say it's going to be the easiest thing to use in the world, because in order to turn off your computer, for example, you have to you actually have to go into the settings to turn off your computer, which I think is ridiculous here. Click on settings and power. Sleep, shut down, restart. They didn't make it easy with just one power button on the top, which to me would have made sense, but some things they didn't do that we all like. But one thing they did do, and I will say this, is that with Windows 8, I have noticed a improved performance, and it has been running faster. So even with the start menu and with the way they're trying to take a look at the tablet market and try to fuse it with everything, I think they've done decent. I don't think it's perfect. I think they've got some changes that they need to do to make it easier for users to understand how to use this, because I've just spent a half hour talking about how to use this computer, and it is a little bit challenging. And if somebody didn't tell you this, how do you do this, you'd be frustrated. You would wonder, how the heck do I use my computer? And it is challenging. You just have to think of it as a tablet. It really is. And again, you go to the store to get your apps, and that's how you go about doing it. You can get into complicated scenarios where you use your settings, but again, it's harder to use. And I think it's cool. I just think it's going to take a learning curve for people to use it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this will be easier for people who don't know how to use a computer in general. And I think it would be. But if you have prior experience on how to use a computer, it's going to be more challenging to use Windows 8, even though there are many experiences. So that's just my input. And thank you guys if you did stick around and watch the whole 30 minutes of this. I know it was part rambling on this, but it's very important to know how to use Windows 8, because that's the way the world is going with. If you have a new computer, you're going to get Windows 8 with it, whether you like it or not. Or if you purchase an Apple computer, obviously you would be interested in using Apple products. So either way, it's your choice, and that's all I have to say today, guys. Thank you guys for watching my videos in general, and thank you for watching this video. And be sure to comment on these videos, like them, and if you can, share them with your friends. I would be very, very happy. And who knows, I will probably be doing some giveaways very soon for people who share and tell other people about my services and what I do for tech. So again, thank you guys for watching this video. I'm Core Nerd here, and definitely stick around.